Hi, my name is Zhukov and I'm from Intel. Today we are going to talk about how to fit sec into DevOps, probably without security team. Let me start with a mandatory disclaimer. Sorry about that, guys. Today I'd like to express my own opinion and my own experience that doesn't necessarily reflect the official views or opinions of my employer. So I'm going to share with you some public examples and cases. So there is neither confidential information today nor marketing stuff, only practice. So some links and names on my slides may seem small, but don't mind it, please. Everything is clickable. My plan is to share slides with organizers so that you can follow them offline if you would. And without any further delay, here we go. Let me introduce myself real quick. I'm practicing cybersecurity expert with more than 12 years experience, with the most recent area of my interest in product security and broader end-to-end secure development lifecycle, well known as SDL or SDLC. Formerly, I also brought to market new cybersecurity products, services, managed complex security projects, consult firms like banks, telcos, retail, you name it. Also, I conduct classes at universities and private centers. In my spare time, I do volleyball. I'm fond of hiking, running, bike, swimming, and basically of every single sport that is easily feasible. Okay, not for advertising purposes, but satisfying everybody's curiosity, probably. You might think why the Silicon Company talks not only about hardware, right? Intel and software, what it's all about. Intel actually develops a lot of different proprietary and open source software products, including actually industry pioneering confidential computing products like SGX, Project Ember, and etc. Also, we are providing some, as I mentioned, open source stuff, even in security space, and I will share with you along with other open software, so what we do and what we share with community actually. Maybe you don't know, but Intel over the 5 or more years, top 4 contributor to open source, according to Open Source Contributor Index, so along with other respectful companies. So we know how to do software, we're consuming software, we're running, of course, our own DevSecOps practices, so that's why we can talk about that. Okay, let's start with myths breaking, actually. I believe you, if you're, for example, an R&D or IT professional or SRE or DevOps engineer, right, you may likely face some concerns about security or even struggle with your own company centralized security team, right? And you know what? I can't blame you guys for that because, let's say, classic or traditional security approach doesn't really fit well to software development, to development departments, or IT-specific companies. That's true, let's admit it. In all of these areas, baking security into DevOps actually can help. Let's see, 5 myths, as you can see on this slide, right? Security team and their tools are aliens for R&D. I think that is maybe clear for some of us. R&D has their own KPI, right? And I heard a lot of over my practice about how can we establish these trade-offs between security and feature development and etc. We don't need to do that. We're going to make the robust and best quality products in the world. So this is all connected. No trade-offs, no conflicts. Of course, if you do it properly. It is yet another vulnerability, right? Why should I care about that? Nobody will exploit that. It's not going to work. It's yet another myth. I mean, the 4th one. Security doesn't contain good metrics or clear value or clear benefits. It's not true. If you do right security and you fit sec into your development and DevOps practices correctly, so you are gonna to take these benefits. And the last one, my lower one, security is boring and unnoticeable for everybody. It's not truth again. Security is really exciting even for, let's say, ordinary engineers, not security guys, because the right security, the proper security is mostly about the technology, right? Of course, it contains some compliance part, but it's also about technology, about inventing new things. Please believe me. Today, I'm going to provide you with remember this number, with 4 practical recommendations that could probably close 80% real-world security problems related to development. Let's talk about benefits. Actually, what SEC in DevOps process and modern development practices can bring to the business. This is definitely increasing time to market, faster the development. So security, along with all other DevOps practices, speed up development. It's scaling definitely. Without properly including SEC, it's also will be the burden, will be the only compliance, and it's not scalable. Flexibility. I will bring you the one example about flexibility a little bit later. Transparency. If you automate everything, if you have clear metrics and all this stuff, it will be transparent and predictable. And of course, it's bring trust and positive brand appeal and etc. If you are doing the good practices, if you're if you support security. The only one example, I have a lot of examples, but in the sake of time, I will bring you the only one example of real value of fitting security into the modern development. Let's bring up the case study. I think this is kind of common practice, and this is only one story, but we experience a lot of the similar story, right? The community unexpectedly discovered a critical vulnerability and extremely popular third party, right? Do you remember Log4Shell? Please raise your hands. Of course, we remember this story. And if you are actually without DevSecOps, without security properly integrated and automated, it takes you 3 days only for inventory. If you're medium or big company, it's really changing, right? To understand whether you really have this log4j components, right? And whether you're affected. 1 week for out of cycle release, probably if you're a software company, or for updating all your systems, because actually it's not so one time if you don't have security in your DevOps practices. Additional surprise, you can find other third parties living for years in your code, right? That's a big deal. But with security, please pay attention at the right side of the slide. With security in DevOps, it's simple. Thanks to implemented continuous security, right? We understand all our components so that we store logs. We can really quickly understand where we are affected, right? And probably even if we are a big company, we're spending 2 to 3 days for out of cycle release for our software or for our services or whatever, thanks to automation, thanks to SEC properly integrated into the DevOps. It's a real practice, real example of benefits that security can bring up to your business. The most popular security bugs, guys, this is a barely fresh statistic this year from the record. Don't really dig into the graphics, but I just prepared for you the outcome of this statistic that show top 4 most popular security bugs. I mean, they're probably have been changing a little bit over the year, but anyway, this is again buffer overflow, underflow. We have been talking about that for over the years, I mean over decades maybe. Error and input handling, crypto implementation, all of this stuff appears as a bug, as a security problems that could lead to the real breaches, that could lead to the loss of the reputation and etc. So sec into DevOps can help solve these problems. How we are going to do that in practice, right? The first advice, of course, to build up the full SDL or SDLC, security development lifecycle, all this stuff. This is heavyweight, but if you're big or even the medium company, probably you must do that. For example, modern companies, the industry leaders like Intel build up the heavyweight systems, and I encourage you to take a look at the white paper, which is free, which is accessible, supply chain threats made by senior engineers from Intel. So there's a lot of considerations, including actually DevSecOps considerations and practice and recommendations. So, I mean, you can do that by following the standards, by following the industry leaders. It's of course the first thing that comes to your mind. But remember our topic to build security with into the built-in security into the DevOps without security team. So this is probably heavyweight, still good practice, but heavyweight. Because usually when we start to think about security, you guys as a developers, right, as a engineers, not really 100% security professionals, may think, well, it's take me, I don't know, years, right, to integrate all these practices. I like this diagram by Accelera because it's representing or summarizing the common 17 DevSecOps controls that you may need to implement to build the, let's say, true heavyweight DevSecOps process and everything. But the thing is that small and even medium companies, for example, often don't have time or resources to do that, right? To implement all of that stuff. So I really encourage you to take a look at the points that really matters, and from my opinion, that's could you help to solve up to 18% of all security related problems or your security related stuff in your development cycle, on your flexible development process. You may ask what to do first, right? With the most valuable quick wins. That's why let's have a look at the practical recommendations that doesn't require actually a security team at the nutshell. Of course, it's good to have fully dedicated security professionals, but you can implement at least at the certain level these 4 recommendations without security team. And you remember what? I promised you 4 recommendations, but I lied a little bit. Sorry about that. Actually, it will be 4 and plus 2 bonuses. In summary, 6 recommendations. Let's take an example. The GitHub. Let's turn back for a sec. These 4 recommendations will relate to static analysis, to software composition analysis, to roles and secrets, and to vulnerability scanning. Again, I pause that is very important, at least if you're starting, because everything else could follow, right? Okay, let's return to the examples. These 4 areas could and should be covered primarily by your native development tools that you're really utilizing. I have been talking over and over again, like don't try to buy and to implement a lot of security tools, a lot of security stuff. Of course, that's good, but first of all, please take a look at the native tools that you probably already have, right? If you're using GitHub, if you're using GitLab or other great development tools, please pay attention to its native security features. I bring up the GitHub not for advertising, just for an example. Again, GitLab and other stuff, they include their own security embedded features that you're going to use first instead of trying to implement something alien, right? For static analysis, GitHub has CodeQL. For SCA, it has Dependabot, which is basically a free and open source, plus Renovate bots. This is a great stuff for checking and automatically updating your dependencies. For secret scanning, this is yet another embedded feature, and for vulnerability scanning as well. Part of that is free, especially for open source, for your open source projects. If you're developing closed source, proprietary, some of these features you need to buy the subscription. But again, please pay attention to embedded features, because it will save you a lot of time. Not to try to implement something external, but firstly pay attention to embedded stuff that could be done without security team, especially stuff like Dependabot, stuff like secret scanning, and everything else. I mean, that's simple. That's really simple. I have an experience to turn it on by the small companies, and that costs nothing. I mean, in terms of resources. Another example about open source and free tools. If you want to leverage not only your development environment and DevSecOps tools, you can use external tools, but there are a lot of open source stuff that I share with you right now. Please take it and use it. I put the asterisks, here, because not of these tools free for everybody and for every case and for every programming language, but it's still kind of free for something. For example, Bandit, right? This is a native tool for scanning Python, and this is free. This is not really static analysis tools, rather scanning for security practices. But anyway, this is native for languages. And when you're going to choose static analysis tools to scan your source code, right, for insecure functions, for all this stuff, I would suggest you to use the tools that's specifically designed for languages. I mean, even especially if you are looking for open source. Bandit, this is for Python, for example, RIPS. This is for PHP. SamGraph is good for C#, Go, Java, and etc. I mean, there are, of course, there are a lot of tools that, let's say, support multi-language, but some of them, I mean, good with only specific languages. And this is great. I mean, one size doesn't fit all, right? For software composition analysis, the blue square on your screen, there are a lot of great proprietary tools, but you can use the free stuff. You can use open source stuff. Now, for example, dependency check, dependency track is fully free for understanding your BOM, software bills of materials, and vulnerabilities of your third parties that you're consuming, that you integrate into your code. For binary tools, actually, there are lack of good tools, but we at Intel internally built the CVE binary tool, CVE checking for CV, and we have open sourced that. Please feel free to use that. For secret scanning, it's also not a big deal, so you can use GitGarden, which is proprietary, but still have a free plans. For somebody it fits. GitLeaks, Whispers, this is free. Please you use some special stuff for secret management. Again, this is all either open source or free. You can easily integrate that. And again, I intentionally brought up all of these tools because they're really easy to be integrated into your development processes without, let's say, a lot of specific security knowledge. Again, it's really good to use to have security team and to use their experience, but if you don't have any, these tools could be integrated because the most of them are really development centric, not security centric, For vulnerability scanning, of course, we have a lot of free stuff. It depends on what you're really looking for in terms of vulnerabilities, but there are a lot of tools still available even for free. Okay, let's switch to the first bonus. This is for containers and Kubernetes. Again, it's a small text on the slide, but it's all clickable, so you can follow the links and check it out offline. Pretty much everything that we as a developers build up, guys, we offer as a containers, right? Or even we build our infrastructure based on containers and use some kind of steering stuff, right? Like Kubernetes or OpenShift or whatever. So there are four key messages I wanted to deliver to you. Don't forget, of course, to secure your container and Kubernetes stuff. The left side of the slide represents the answer to the question, what could possibly go wrong in the container world? A lot of stuff could wrong, right? Escape from containers, leakages, escalation of privileges. There are a lot of real-world examples. I don't have time to show all the real-world examples, and it's happening again and again. You know, every single year we see some major breach, for example, or data leakage, or attack, or whatever, or ransomware even, right? Because of breaching container stuff. So first of all, select image responsibly, right? It's really crucial to understand what base operation system image you're gonna to use. Please pay attention and scrutinize and figure that out. That's probably it's would make sense to use Scratch or barely Scratch the operation system, distroless, BusyBox, or whatever. The second advice is utilize all, of course, best practices when your code, when you write up your Docker files, your configurations. Use official Docker security guidance. Use OWASP cheat sheet, for example, when building containers from Docker files, right? Run scanning tools and linter tools like HeadoLint, for example, or Tree or whatever, which could help you to understand your configurations. And this is really good. These tools, I'm going to share you that these tools are used by the major companies even, because as the developers, even we are really professionals, we don't have enough bandwidth, right, and physical ability to understand, to figure out all our code, all our mistakes. Please use this automation. Again, our today's talk is about how to integrate sec into DevOps. Everything that I'm sharing today is easily integrated, is easily automated. Each single tool that's on my slide so could be automated inside your pipeline, right? The next one, verify secrets. That is clear. A lot of examples how secrets could squeeze into the YAML files, container images through the different layers, and then could be exposed to the public. Tokens, internal information, passwords, etc. Please pay attention to that. And the last one about containers, consider runtime security. When you are running your Kubernetes clusters, right, use official Kubernetes security guides or OpenShift security guides or Ranger security guides, right? Depends on what system are you using. There are a lot of hardening guides provided by state, for example, NSA or CISA, best practices or whatever. Please do not hesitate to implement the policy agent, the service mesh, and everything that is already exists, right? By nature in Kubernetes world. And the last one, guys, I wanted to share bonus number 2, make all artifacts trusted. That is something that's advanced. I can't say you are going to do that at the very beginning when you're just thinking about setting up your DevSecOps environments, right? It's for more major companies, but I have to mention that because all of these supply chain problems that we have really hard companies around the world, hard customers and users and etc. So what is Salsa? Salsa is an open framework that helps you to understand and justify originality of every artifact on each development stage, from intake or make source to build and release, right? And to achieve that, so basically you need to keep so-called provenance. As an example, at the right side of this slide, you can see this provenance. What is it? It's metadata or full history, right, about how an artifact was produced at each stage. The idea is pretty much simple, right? Keep along with all your artifacts, all your binaries, all your configurations, all your stuff that you're producing during your development lifecycle, from intaking third parties, through development, through packaging, to delivering your products to the customer or to the world, keeping the information, the history, the origination information of all this, how, when, and why, and by whom this artifact was built. So this is what provenance is about. Basically, the idea is simple. Implementation is maybe more hard, but anyway, it's kind of not so big deal as well. It's open framework. You can easily find it by the link, and basically achieving Salsa level 2 level of maturity, it's not a big deal, because that means that for source code you have your version controlled. Basically, I believe even for small companies you control your versions, right? So it's just you have these VCS systems and etc. For build stuff, scripted build and build service exist and is in place. So basically you are not built manually, right? You have a build system, you have Artifactory, Jenkins, or whatever, all these tools in place, and all this automated, and you have all these YAML configurations. You can check these configurations. Everything is under control. So this is what all about. And the last one is provenance, right? This metadata that you store, you keep with all your artifacts, it is available, right, for checking. Provenance is authenticated and service generated, basically generating automatically. You of course can and should automate provenance creation using Salsa GitHub Actions, for example, if you're using GitHub, or easily integrate these tools to your existing CI/CD tools. If you are not using GitHub, for example, if you use Jenkins, Travis, CI, or whatever, it's not a problem. You can integrate into these systems. That's another great tool, Intertoid Station tool. You can attest that and use cosign for generating and verifying signatures of that stuff. Again, this is kind of framework, and more the idea that you can take and use, and think about that. Again, this is idea is pretty trivial, but if you start to do that, there will be more trust to your artifacts, even by yourselves and by your partners, of course, your customers or whatever. And again, that is all automatable. That's why I bring it up and would like to pay your attention to this stuff. It is all could be integrated into your DevOps CI/CD pipeline easily, and that helps you to fit sec really easily to your DevOps practices, to have the full DevSecOps, and actually sometimes without really security team. That's basically pretty much it I wanted to talk about today. I hope you learned something useful, got an ideas. Please do not hesitate to follow all the link and reference I share. That's all free. And please reach out to me in case if you have any questions. That was my pleasure, folks. Please enjoy the rest of your day and take care. Bye bye.